The difference is that my computers don't lie. My words hang in the air of Castle Key Bank's Crisis Management Center, 40 stories above Manhattan. Robert Morgan, the man who once sneered at my computer addiction, stands frozen, his designer suit suddenly seeming too tight as security approaches. His medical empire is crumbling before his eyes. And I, Grace Sullivan, am the one who brought it down. The board chairman's gavel strikes with finality. Meeting adjourned. Mr. Morgan, you'll be escorted from the premises. I gather my tablet, feeling 20 pairs of eyes on me, not judging this time, but filled with a new respect. Behind Robert, my cousin Beth's perfect composure finally cracks, mascara-tinged tears cutting through her designer makeup. You've destroyed everything, she whispers as they pass. Mom was right, you'll always be alone with your computers. I think of David waiting in my office, of Sarah's fierce loyalty, of Margaret's mentorship. For the first time in 15 years, I smiled genuinely at my cousin. I'm not alone, I tell her. I'm just not with people who tried to break me. As the door closes behind them, I release a breath I've been holding for what feels like most of my 45 years. My phone buzzes, a message from my father after 5 years of silence. We need to talk. How did I get here? How did the family disappointment become the woman who brought down a medical fraud empire? The answer lies 15 years in the past, with a mother's death, a broken promise, and an inheritance stolen by those who claimed to love me most. Flashback of the memorial service. My mother's funeral was a sea of black designer dresses and polite murmurs. I sat apart, my laptop open, not from disrespect, but because coding was the only thing keeping me from drowning in grief. Catherine Sullivan had been my champion, my compass, the only one who understood my passion for technology. Still with those computers? My Aunt Elaine's voice cut through my concentration. She stood over me, pearls gleaming against her black dress, disapproval radiating from every perfect pore. It's not appropriate, Grace. Your mother wouldn't have wanted this. But that was a lie. Mom had wanted exactly this, for me to continue building, creating, following my dreams. The trust fund she'd left was supposed to ensure I could pursue the doctorate in computer science I'd been accepted for at MIT. The Catherine Cooper Foundation for Women in Technology had been her dream, and now it was mine. I closed my laptop. I'm working on something important, Aunt Elaine. The only important thing now is family. Her hand rested on my shoulder, manicured nails digging slightly into my skin. We need to discuss the arrangements, the estate. Your father is overwhelmed. I glanced across the room at Dad, Thomas Sullivan, once a powerful investment banker, now a hollow-eyed shell leaning heavily on Elaine's every word since Mom's diagnosis. They stood too close for a brother and sister-in-law fresh from a funeral. Something cold settled in my stomach. What arrangements? I asked. Your mother had. Unrealistic ideas. Elaine's smile didn't reach her eyes. But I promised her I'd take care of everything. Behind her, my cousin Beth approached, her husband Robert in tow. Perfect Beth with her perfect life, her doctor husband, her picture book future. She hugged me, her expensive perfume nearly choking me. Oh, Grace, she sighed. Mom says you can stay with us until you get back on your feet. This tech hobby of yours. Well, it was fine when you were younger, but maybe it's time for something more realistic. I pulled away. It's not a hobby. I'm developing an AI security system that could revolutionize. Let me see what you're working on. Beth interrupted, her interest obviously fake. Maybe I can help. You don't know anything about coding, I replied, clutching my laptop closer. No, but I know someone who does. Her smile was practice perfection. Remember Edward from college? He's doing amazing things in tech now. Edward Hayes. The name alone made my skin crawl. My former classmate who'd stolen my research project senior year, then claimed I was just jealous when he won the innovation prize. I'm fine, thanks. Later that night, as guests were leaving, I overheard Elaine speaking to my father in hushed tones in her study. Thomas, Catherine's ideas about Grace's future are impractical. A foundation for women coders? That trust fund would be wasted. Grace needs structure, real-world skills, not encouragement for this digital obsession. I froze outside the door, heart pounding. But Catherine wanted, my father began. Catherine isn't here anymore. Elaine cut in sharply. I am. And I promise to take care of this family. The trust will be better used securing Beth and Robert's medical practice. An actual business with actual returns, not some fantasy tech project. Grace will be devastated, Dad said, but his voice already carried resignation. She'll thank us someday, when she finally outgrows this phase. I backed away silently, rage and grief tangling in my chest. That night, I made two promises to myself. I would never abandon my mother's dream, and someday, I would make them all see exactly what they had tried to destroy. Present day Hawk Shield success. Earth to Grace. David Chen waves his hand in front of my face, bringing me back to the present. His smile is warm, concerned. My CTO has been by my side for a decade now, believing in me when no one else would. The board meeting starts in 10 minutes. You ready? Always ready, I respond, straightening my blazer. Gone are the hoodies and jeans from those early days. Today, I wear a tailored suit that speaks the language of these boardrooms. Not because I care about appearances, but because I've learned that presentation is currency in these circles. On my tablet, headlines scroll. Hawk Shield AI prevents billion-dollar cyber heist. 20 years of work, of sacrifice, of proving everyone wrong, and here we are. My little computer hobby now protects some of the largest financial institutions in the world. Margaret Winters, my mentor on the board, intercepts us in the hallway. At 65, she remains one of the most powerful women in banking, her silver hair a crown earned through decades of fighting in male-dominated boardrooms. Grace, her expression is tense. We need to talk before the meeting. There's been an emergency addition to the agenda. She pulls me into a side office. A bailout request came in last night. Morgan Medical Group. The name hits me like a physical blow. Robert Morgan? He's married to my cousin. Margaret's eyes narrow. I should recuse you from the vote. What exactly are they asking for? 15 million emergency capital injection. Their primary facility is underwater, and they're facing litigation risk. She pauses. The numbers don't add up, Grace, but there's pressure from above to push it through. My phone buzzes. David has sent the loan application documents. I scan them quickly, years of pattern recognition kicking in. These financials are doctored, I say. Look at the quarterly revenue jumps. Too perfect. Can you prove it? I pull up Hawk Shield's financial analysis module. Give me 5 minutes. As I work, memories float back. Beth and Robert at family gatherings, their matching tennis outfits and country club tans, always with a pitying glance my way. Still playing with computers, Grace? Robert would ask, while Beth showcased another diamond on her finger. When are you going to get a real job? Year after year, holiday after holiday, while I built my company from nothing, after Elaine had redirected my trust fund to more practical investments, they flaunted their success, never knowing I could see the cracks forming in their perfect facade. The system pings. I've found it. Offshore accounts, I mutter. Casino charges in Macau. And look at this, equipment purchases that don't match patient records. Margaret leans closer. Money laundering? And worse. I stand. Let's go. The confrontation, Robert doesn't recognize me when he walks into the boardroom. It's been 2 years since I last saw him at a family function, and he's aged. His face is puffy, his designer suit slightly ill-fitting. Behind him, Beth enters, her Chanel suit and perfect makeup a shield against reality. Mr. Morgan, the chairman begins. Please present your case. Robert launches into a polished speech about market pressures and temporary setbacks. I let him talk while Hawk Shield analyzes his company's entire digital footprint. Just need bridge financing to weather this storm, he concludes confidently. Morgan Medical Group has an impeccable reputation. My tablet pings. I look up. Is that why you've been transferring funds to offshore accounts in the Cayman Islands? Robert freezes mid-sentence. Now he recognizes me. I don't know what you're talking about. 7 transfers in the last month, all just under reporting thresholds. I turn my tablet around, displaying the transaction records. And these casino charges in Macau, are they part of your medical research? This is absurd, Robert sputters. You can't access private banking records. They're not private when they're tied to loan applications, I say calmly, and they're not private when they trigger our fraud detection algorithms. Beth stands suddenly. This is a personal vendetta. Grace has always been jealous of our success. I laugh, the sound sharp in the quiet room. Jealous? Of what? Your husband's gambling debts? Or the malpractice suits you're trying to settle quietly? The room erupts in whispers. Robert lunges forward, but security is already moving. You, he hisses. Beth was right about you. Always hiding behind your computers, thinking you're better than everyone. The difference, I cut him off, is that my computers don't lie. Flashback the discovery 10 years after my mother's death. I was still rebuilding. Hawkshield was small but growing, earning a reputation for innovative security solutions. I'd long since stopped attending family gatherings, tired of the sidelong glances and whispered commentaries on my failed potential. But that changed when Sarah Rodriguez, my brilliant young systems analyst, burst into my office one morning. Boss, you need to see this. Her usual cheerful demeanor was replaced with concern. Someone's been probing our old code base. In the Security Operations Center, screens displayed real-time threat analytics. Sarah pulled up a log file that made my blood run cold. Sullivan Morgan. Access attempt. Legacy System V1. 0. Origin. Dormant script detected. Status. Historical. Timestamp. 10 years prior. That's impossible, I murmured, leaning closer. That system was offline before we even incorporated. David appeared behind us, coffee in hand. Impossible? Just deliberate. He pointed to the timestamp. This was planted during your beta testing phase. Ring any bells? The memory hit me like a thunderbolt, Beth hovering over my shoulder at my mother's memorial service, feigning interest in my work. Maybe I can help you, she'd said. Pull up everything we have on Edward Hayes, I told Sarah. The screens filled with data, corporate filings, news articles, social media. There he was, CEO of Rival Tech Solutions, a direct competitor, and listed as a business partner in Morgan Medical Group's latest venture. Well, David whistled. Looks like your cousin's been playing both sides. My phone rang. Margaret Winters. Turn on the financial news, she said without preamble. The headline scrolled across CNBC. Rival Tech Solutions announces breakthrough in medical AI security, partners with Morgan Medical Group. They're using our code, Sarah said, her fingers flying across the keyboard. The dormant script. It was a backdoor. They'd been stealing our research for years. I should have felt angry, but instead, a cold clarity washed over me. Get me everything on the trust fund transfers from 10 years ago. Grace, David warned. Some doors are better left closed. Not this one. Hours later, we had our answer. The paper trail was buried deep, but AI doesn't miss patterns. The family trust, meant to be split between Beth and me after my mother's death, had been systematically drained, first through legal transfers orchestrated by Aunt Elaine, then through a series of investments in shell companies. One of those companies, Rival Tech Solutions. It all made sense now. The sudden success of Edward's company. The rapid expansion of Robert's medical practice. The silent collusion of my father, who never questioned where the money went. They hadn't just dismissed my dreams. They'd stolen them, used my inheritance to fund competitors, and thought I'd never be smart enough to discover the truth. Present day, the final confrontation. After the boardroom confrontation, I returned to my office to find Elaine waiting. She's aged since I last saw her, but her pearls are still perfect, her posture still rigid with superiority. David stands nearby, arms crossed, watching her like a hawk. You can go, David, I say. You sure? He doesn't take his eyes off Elaine, I'm sure. I sit behind my desk. My aunt was just leaving anyway. Grace, Elaine's voice trembles slightly. We need to fix this. The scandal. It's destroying everything. Everything you built on lies, you mean? I pull up the trust fund documents on my monitor. Want to explain these transfers? You were young, reckless. We were protecting the family legacy. By stealing from me? By funding Robert's gambling and Edward's corporate theft? She flinches. It wasn't like that. We had plans. My phone buzzes. Sarah. Boss, we found something big. Coming up now. The door opens. Sarah rushes in, tablet in hand. Sorry to interrupt, but look at this. She places the tablet on my desk. Email records fill the screen. Urgent messages to offshore accounts, transfer requests, desperate attempts to move money, all from this morning. Trying to hide the rest of my trust fund? I ask Elaine. We're just covering Robert's tracks? You don't understand. Elaine's composure cracks. Robert. He promised the investments would pay off. The medical practice was supposed to be our security. Security? I laugh. It was a front. Robert was laundering money through fake equipment purchases. Beth helped Edward steal my technology, and you funded all of it. I had to protect Beth. Elaine stands, her voice rising. She was going to have a real life, a normal life, unlike you. I stay seated calm. The weird niece who embarrassed you with her computers. You were just like your mother, Elaine spits, always thinking you were better than us, with your big dreams and your fancy education. The words hit like a slap. My mother believed in me. She left that trust fund so I could chase those dreams. Your mother was a fool. Elaine's mask finally shatters. She filled your head with nonsense about changing the world when you should have been learning to fit in. David steps forward, but I hold up a hand to stop him. Fit in? Like this? I pull up another document. Your email to the family lawyer the day after Mom died, planning how to redirect my inheritance. Elaine goes pale. Where did you get that? I'm good with computers, remember? Mom's estate documents, the trust fund transfers, your secret meetings with my father. It's all here. I press a button. And now it's all with the FBI's Financial Crimes Unit. You wouldn't, she whispers. We're family. Family? I stand slowly. Family doesn't steal from orphan nieces. Family doesn't conspire to destroy someone's life's work. Family doesn't betray a dying sister's wishes. My phone buzzes again. A news alert. FBI raids rival tech offices, CEO Edward Hayes in custody. I show Elaine the headline. Looks like your investment isn't paying off after all. Personal memory, mother's guidance. That night, alone in my apartment, I find myself looking at old photographs. My mother and me at my first science fair, both of us beaming beside my computer project. I was 12, already in love with code, already seeing patterns where others saw only chaos. You have a gift, Grace, she told me that night. Don't ever let anyone make you doubt it. Catherine Sullivan had been a pioneer herself, one of the first female computer scientists at her university in the 1980s, fighting for recognition in a field that barely acknowledged women existed. She understood the resistance I would face, not just from the world, but from our own family. Your aunt never understood my choices, she confided once, during her final months. She thinks success is measured in dinner parties and charity committees. But you and I know better. I trace her face in the photograph, remembering her strength, her determination. The cancer took her body, but it never touched her spirit. Promise me you'll finish what we started, she'd whispered in the hospital. The foundation, the scholarships. Girls who think like you do need champions. I promised. And then I watched as Elaine dismantled everything my mother had built, redirecting the trust fund, convincing my father it was for my own good. For 15 years, I'd fought back the only way I knew how, building Hog Shield from nothing, proving my mother's faith in me wasn't misplaced. And now, finally, I had the means to fulfill that promise properly. Meeting with father, I choose a public place to meet my father, the crowded cafe in the lobby of my office building. 5 years of silence, and now he wants to talk? Fine, but on my terms. He's already there when I arrive, looking older than I remember. His banker's suit hangs loose on his frame, his hair more gray than brown. Grace. He stands as I approach. You look successful. I sit without hugging him. Amazing what following your dreams can do. The waiter appears. I order an espresso. Thomas gets water. Elaine called me, he says after an uncomfortable silence. She's hysterical. Something about rival tech stocks crashing? Funny how she runs to you when her schemes fall apart. I pull out my tablet. Want to see what else she's been running to you about? I slide the device across the table. Photos fill the screen. Thomas and Elaine at her beach house in the Hamptons, dated 2 weeks after my mother's funeral. More photos, more dates, all during the time the trust was being drained. You knew, I say quietly. You knew what she was doing with my inheritance. He won't meet my eyes. It's complicated, Grace. Elaine. She had a plan for all of us. A plan? I laughed bitterly. Was the plan to fund Beth's husband's fake medical empire? Or to invest my money in a company trying to steal my work? You don't understand. No, you don't understand. I lean forward. I found the emails, Dad. You and Elaine discussing how to protect the family legacy from my risky tech ventures. You chose her side every time. A notification pops up on my phone. David, Edward Hayes just called a press conference. Turning it on now. The cafe's TV screen switches to the news. There's Edward, looking polished in his CO suit, Beth standing supportively behind him. Recent system failures at rival tech solutions were the result of a targeted attack, he's saying. We have evidence linking this corporate sabotage to Hawkshield AI and its founder. Targeted attack? I scoff. They tried to hack us using code they stole years ago. The system defended itself. Thomas watches the screens, his face pale. Is this true? What's true is that your precious niece helped plant malicious code in my first prototype. What's true is that you all thought I was wasting my life while you invested my inheritance in the very people trying to destroy me. My phone buzzes again. Sarah. Boss, you need to see this. Found something in Elaine's email archives. I opened the attachment. It's an old email chain between Elaine and my mother, dated just before her death. Promise me you'll support Grace's dreams, my mother had written. The trust is for her future, whatever future she chooses. Elaine's response. Of course, sister. I'll make sure the money goes exactly where it needs to go. My hands shake. She promised Mom, and you let her break that promise. Elaine said it was for your own good, Thomas whispers, that you needed to learn real-world values. Real-world values? I stand up, my chair scraping loudly. Like loyalty? Like keeping your word? Like standing up for your own daughter? The cafe has gone quiet. On the TV, Edward is still talking, but now the ticker below shows rival tech's stock price in freefall. I built something real, I say, my voice steady despite the anger burning in my chest. Something that matters. While you and Elaine were playing family politics, I was creating systems that protect people's lives and livelihoods. Grace, please. I gather my things. You don't get to plead now. Not after years of silence. Not after choosing Elaine's lies over your own daughter's truth. As I walk away, I hear him call after me. I'm sorry. Too little, too late. The time for apologies has passed. Now is the time for consequences. Discovery and resolution. 2 weeks after the confrontation with my family, a familiar voice makes me turn as I stand at my mother's grave. The cemetery groundskeeper approaches, holding an envelope. Ms. Sullivan? Your father left this for you this morning. Said it was important. Inside is a key and an address. Below it, my father's handwriting. Your mother's storage unit. It's time you had what's yours. I showed David the note. Feel like a detour? The storage facility is small, family-owned. Unit 23 looks like any other, but my hands tremble as I turn the key. The door rolls up to reveal boxes, dozens of them, carefully labeled in my mother's neat handwriting. Grace's Code Projects, age 12. Science Fair Awards. MIT acceptance. She kept everything, I whisper. David picks up a dusty laptop. This looks ancient. That's where I wrote my first program. I take it from him, memories flooding back. Mom bought it for me when Elaine said computers weren't for girls. There's more. David points to a filing cabinet. Inside are documents, The original trust paperwork, letters, photos, and a sealed envelope with my name on it, dated just before she died. Dear Grace, I read aloud, my voice catching. If you're reading this, then I was right about Elaine. I've kept copies of everything. The real trust documents, the account numbers, proof of what they're planning. Don't let them make you doubt yourself. You were always meant to build something extraordinary. Love, Mom. She knew, David says softly. She protected you the only way she could, by leaving a paper trail. I laughed through tears. Like mother, like daughter. My phone rings. Margaret, turn on the news now. David pulls it up on his phone. The headline makes my breath catch. FBI announces major break in corporate fraud case. Whistleblower Thomas Sullivan provides key evidence. Your father's been working with them for months, Margaret explains, ever since you confronted him. He gave them everything. Elaine's schemes, Robert's fraud, all of it. I sit heavily on a storage box. He chose a side. The right one, finally. Another box catches my eye. Grace's first server setup. Inside is my original coding notebook, filled with teenage dreams and diagrams. I want to show you something, I tell David, pulling out my phone and calling Sarah. Remember that scholarship idea? Let's make it bigger. How much bigger? I can hear her typing. Convert the old server room into a coding academy. Free classes for girls who want to learn tech. Use Mom's storage unit as a museum. Show them where it all started. Already on it, Sarah replies. First class starts next week. David touches my arm. There's something else you should see. He leads me to his car and drives to my office building. The lobby has changed. A new sign hangs above the entrance. Catherine Sullivan Center for Technology Innovation. The board approved it this morning, he explains, along with funding for a full STEM scholarship program. I stare at my mother's name in gleaming letters. It's perfect. There's one more thing. David turns to face me. I've been waiting for the right moment. Yes, I say before he can finish. He blinks. You don't even know what I was going to say. You were going to suggest dinner. Not to celebrate the company or the victory or even the academy, I smile. Just dinner. Just us. Actually, he pulls out a small box. I was going to suggest forever. My phone buzzes one final time. A message from my father. Your mother would be so proud. Not just of what you built, but of who you became. I am too. I look at David, at the ring, at my mother's name shining above us. This isn't the family ending Elaine and Beth had planned for me. This is better. Forever sounds good, I say, taking the ring. But first, I have a coding class to teach. David laughs. Of course you do. The autumn wind has calmed. Above us, my mother's name catches the setting sun, casting long shadows that look almost like lines of code. Some people are born to fit in, others are born to stand out, and some of us were born to build something entirely new. That's not revenge. That's not even success. That's justice.